there was another one I saw. It was a girl we went to school with, and one of my friends was working at Walmart, and she showed me like surveillance footage of her doing some crazy stuff, and I'm like, wow. I was in class with that girl.
Yeah.
She was an honor roll student. She was this, that, and it's like, man, life hits people differently.
It hits us. It hits us, I think, with the same, intensity, but people just choose to take it different.
Like how they react to it. Yeah. You think it's the same intensity?
Well, intensity is relative, right?
Right.
It's sort of like when people talk about when you look at someone's situation and you say, man, they've got it so good. If I had it like that, then I wouldn't worry about anything.
Right.
Or you look at another person and say, man, look at what they're going through. If they're going through that, surely I can handle what I'm going through.
Exactly.
But it is all relative. What we go through is what we go through, and
true.
No one can, really, if we distill it down, say, oh, he doesn't have any issues, or man, they're going through way more than I can, even think of, because, we can look at it from a psychological standpoint that some of the poorest and most impoverished people in the world rate, or when you rate their happiness and their fulfillment, rate higher than people who are in the more developed countries or have more wealth. Also, when we look at sort of where we are right now in society, we have the most wealth, especially in this country, the most wealth and opportunity than I would say any other country on the planet.
Oh, absolutely.
And if you look at the world as a whole, there's more people who've been lifted up out of poverty. We have more wealth than we have ever had in human history. And yet there is considerably more mental illness and people struggling with overall wellness. How can that be?
And I feel like that comes from, we always talk about self-esteem issues and stuff like that, and being trapped in the hustle and bustle of every day. It's one of the lands, I don't know if it's Greenland, Finland, one of those, whatever. I remember reading an article a very long time ago, and it was talking about it's the happiest place on earth, and it all has to do with the way they live their lives. They're not like the richest people in the world. They live very, very humble lives. They focus more on family and their livelihood. Like people over there have the houses and stuff like that is a house that, that they need. It's fairly adequate for what they have going on in their lives. Over here, we have 50 pairs of shoes,
sure.
A 7-bedroom house when it's only you and your girl, 3 TVs, 70-inch TVs, stuff like that, where you're trapped in the competition.
Yeah, that's what it is, and it's I guess it's a bit of a trap and a challenge to not want to kind of pursue that.
Right.
But I would argue to say to get in that race or to get in that mode is just detrimental. You can't find any fulfillment in that.
It is. I think it boils down to having a strong mentality. To, like you just said, like to say to yourself, it's like, I'm not going to participate in none of this. I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to do that because it doesn't make me happy. Essentially, you're no longer making yourself happy. You're just putting on a show for other people now. Yeah. At that point,
On the same token, too, like I think you can having nice things and enjoying, things in life is. I don't think that's all a negative or bad thing, but I think the attitude, like you were hinting at, the attitude with which you approach it is the kind of the key. So, like if you're upgrading your car, you're upgrading your car so that you can show it off and you want to see the response from the boys or other people. You want people to look at you and you pull up, and that's all exciting to you. it's almost like a drug. It lasts for a few seconds, a few minutes, and then no one cares anymore. You don't even care anymore. You're moving on to the next thing. You're trying to upgrade to search for approval or some kind of response from people for what reason, really? So that you can feel good about yourself or feel like you made it. I mean, I just think there's some other activities and behaviors you can participate in that have a longer lasting effect if you're looking for that. If you're looking for approval or some sense of achievement in yourself.
Right. People are always looking for an audience for anything. It's kind of even like what you're going back to, like, suffering is relative and stuff like that. You heard the story of the billionaire or the multimillionaire who jumps out the window because he lost $10 million. Right. And you're like, whoa, why would you jump out the window when you still have another $10 million? But now it's like I'm no longer in that club anymore. There's a certain lifestyle that I want to maintain or keep up for these people. Now I can't keep up with that. Oh my God, what are they gonna think of me? I can't live anymore. And then you end your life for other people. Now it's not that just that plain and simple. Sometimes it's it's more to it. But I'm willing to bet that a lot of that has to do with how your world will be looking at you, and that's it's a sad way to live, man. But a lot of people are very, very trapped in that. And I'm not gonna sit here and lie and say like I've never been feeling that way. It's like, oh, I look at some of the stuff. Like I think I told you about because I used to participate in the Black Fridays and stuff like that. Oh, yeah. And then I remember this one time I came home and I was looking at my house and I'm like, man, I got a lot of nice stuff. And I was like, but to be honest, like this stuff really only looked better in the store. Yeah. It looks a whole lot better in the store. Exactly. And once you get it, that rush and that high of that new thing, it kind of fades away. Because, sure enough, in 6 months, there's going to be something newer and better and this and that, so finding happiness in things it's not the way to go. Things are very temporary.
Yeah, it would be, I haven't been convinced that having a bunch of stuff or always having the best stuff adds the more value or longer lasting value for anyone's life. I haven't been convinced. I'm open to being convinced if anyone wants to provide a situation or an experience where they can kind of draw it out. But I feel like, in my opinion, investing in experiences that involve people, where you both are getting to grow together and explore together. People, your friends, family, like investing in that and really working to contribute to things like that will provide a lot more meaning and a lot more fulfillment. I mean, and everybody kind of realizes that. I mean, we're created to interact with each other. Human beings, we have a sort of just internal nature to want to connect with other people, be around other people, grow with other people. Right. I mean, we know this, and yet some of us, and all of us, sometimes spend time chasing after stuff.
I think it's easier to place an object in front of you and that be the center of adoration, and have people look at you in that manner. When you're trying to connect with people on a deeper level, you're forcing yourself to challenge. You're kind of challenging yourself now. Challenge yourself as a person, challenging your worth, you're challenging all these things, and you have to go through that race. So if I put a supercar in front of you and say this is Mike's worth to you, it's easier for me to do that than to say than to have you judge whether or not I'm a good person or whether or not I'm a smart person or valuable person, if I bring anything to the table. You know, but if I'm just putting my money on the line, you know, it's like, oh, okay, yeah, he definitely brings value. Hey, let's laugh at his jokes. Hey, let's do this, let's do that. You know, we see this all the time with like a lot of celebrities where we talk about, oh, this guy, like, you know, he probably thinks he could be a stand-up comedian because every time he says something funny, the whole room erupts in laughter. They're supposed to laugh, you know, and it's almost like they're being paid to go along with whatever he says.
Sure.
You know? But what else you got going on today? You got a busy day?
So I've been on vacation. So it's
I've been on vacation this week, so
I've been spending a lot of time with my daughter and catching up with friends. You know, that you don't get to see from week to week because of work, of course. And then today we're going to go to Atlanta, visit my sister. So we're just going to be hanging out. This is like a staycation. And sometimes I kind of prefer those because you know, I get this sense sometimes whenever I go somewhere for a vacation or you go to a theme park or Disney World or something like that. There's a lot of work involved in that.
Planning vacation when you get home, before you go back to work.
Yeah. I mean, if you have children, you know that like nothing anymore. A trip to the grocery store is a whole, you know, ordeal.
Right.
So, you know, we get a few traveling vacations where we go somewhere cool, but most of the time we try to seek, you know, either at home, just, you know, peaceful relaxation, visiting friends in town, having dinner, visiting family. Keep it simple, and I like it.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, resting is the vacation to me. Because a lot of times when you go out, you know, it kind of feels like you're working the whole time, trying to get this done. You know, you have a list. I remember this one time I went on vacation with, I went on a trip, I should say, with a friend of mine and his family, and it was an entire itinerary of things to do, and I was just like, damn, this is like, it's like being at work, man. It was very demanding, and probably not. I was scared to skip anything. Yeah, man. Yeah, it was, hey, everybody get up. It's time to go. Like, I was like, damn.
Breakfast at this time, then we gotta go do this and get in the car and head to this. Yeah, that can be exhausting. You gotta, I believe that you gotta have unstructured leisure time. One thing I practice with my daughter is making sure she has that time to just whatever. Everything doesn't always have to be sanitized and structured. I mean, you need that, but you also need time to just be.
No, absolutely, it's a sense of freedom. I think it kind of teaches that too. Like, you know, a lot of people end up being very anal when they grow up, depending on how they were raised. You know, you get, oh, my dad was super strict. We had scheduled time for this, that, and the third. I knew that at 9:13 at night I was in the bathroom brushing my teeth every night. You know what I mean? Like stuff like that. It's like it'll carry itself over and may even become detrimental to how you live your life.
Well, I think if you become, and this is just from what I've experienced, I haven't seen any research on it, but now that I think about it, it would be interesting to look into. But I think if you are like, I guess, hyper-structured or at an early age, and you build that in and you develop in that sort of environment, then it affects your ability to be a little bit more agile or adaptable, because you've built a system within yourself or a mindset and habits that are always around plans and always around structure. So in life, as you know, we all have experienced more than likely, sometimes the structure and the plan falls completely apart.
Absolutely.
Sometimes you have to pivot and you you have to do something that you never thought you could do. You know, do something completely different than what you were thinking. And so you have to have some practice in being spontaneous and doing things on the fly, and you have to have some practice in the structure. Now, my personality is kind of like type B, so I'm very, very much, I respond to things in spontaneous ways. I'm pretty adaptable, and then I've had to, also develop areas where I have opportunity, which is on the organized and planning part, so that I can be competent. So you can't just be one or the other.
Right. Let me do something.
Right. Sort of like when you're studying personality, right? Everyone thinks, or not everyone, but a lot of people who approach a personality test for the first time, when they take it and they say, "Oh, well, I'm this, this, and this," I guess.
Right.
Well, you actually have all of the personality attributes. Depending on the context, though, you might express one area more than others. And then you look at like the big 5 personality traits, which are, there's a lot of research on those, which is, let's see, agreeableness, conscientiousness, openness, neuroticism, extroversion.
Right.
And when you look at those, we all experience those 5 in different contexts. You tend to, if you take all the behaviors or all the contexts that you possibly could be in, and then, you kind of get responses, you rate kind of rate your kind of behavior on those 5. You tend to stabilize, or the measures tend to clump up in one way or another, but there are certain situations where you might, score higher in like agreeableness when you're dealing with your child versus when you're in a business meeting or something like that. So,
Of course. Absolutely. How you doing, man?
fine. How are you?
Doing well.
Talking about personality, like one of the biggest things that I don't think a lot of people talk about, which is, it could be terrifying, I just find it interesting, but like intelligence. So it's like on the dimension of openness, and how that's sort of a stable thing.
Right.
Like you can learn more information, and read more books and get more degrees, but in general, your ability to solve various amounts of complex problems efficiently, it's pretty stable level of lifespan. But and that's not to say that you don't have any value if your level of being able to do that is not as high as person. Yeah, right. There's other traits that can predict your success, like conscientiousness. And this is like your ability to, be organized, to work hard, to, I guess, a high willpower, if you will, overcome.
Yeah, like being wired a little differently.
Yeah.
Like, have you ever seen this show called Mind Games? I think they got it on Netflix.
Yeah, I've seen that.
So I was watching it. With my girl at the time, and it was showing us. So it was showing us, how many footballs have been thrown. Check to see how many footballs have been thrown in this thing, right? Mm-hmm. And so, me being the type of person I am, as soon as the little mini game started, I started counting footballs. And as I was counting them, I got distracted. I started thinking about something else and I lost count. And then by the time it got done, she called out, I think it was like 23 or 17 or something like that. And then I think I said something along those numbers, but it wasn't it. And then the guy was like, yeah, if you were paying attention, there was a scoreboard in the back that said you can stop counting now. There's 17 balls that are gonna be thrown. And she saw that. I didn't even think to do anything like that, you know. But her being as observant or a different type of observation that she has, she took note of that, you know, and it just kind of shows it's like, you know, it's not even, I wouldn't even say a strength, but it's just how people are just wired differently.
Sure.
You know, different strengths in different areas and stuff like that. So just because you're this way doesn't mean you're going to prevail over this person.
Yeah, absolutely. Everybody's got different strengths or different abilities.
Right.
I think the key thing is to spend as much time in introspection and experiencing and exposing yourself to different things so that you know what your abilities are and you can leverage that. You know, you may not be as great at mathematics, but you might have a great knack for understanding and connecting with people. So you know, don't spend years trying to become an engineer. That's just not what you're built for.
Right.
You know, you might be a great politician, lawyer, therapist. Yeah, so you know, and that's hard. That's hard for people to get because we have a school system, especially in America, that tells you in one way or another that hey, everybody has to get good grades and eventually go to college and then go, you know, get a graduate degree or a doctorate. You know what I mean? And I say that, you know, with a little cheeky tone, but that's what our society has kind of taught people. While we're sitting here in 2021, going to 2022, we don't have anyone who can build homes effectively. We have no one who can do sheetrock, carpenters are down, the welders, and our country need homes for all of the people who are migrating here and the people who are here who, you know, had gotten to a point where they thought that they should be able to afford a home or you know, have more availability. Absolutely. And we have a lot of people our age and much younger who, you know, wouldn't even look at doing a job like that because in school, some sort of the environment was set up for them to, you know, go on and get an advanced degree and become a whatever, quote unquote, admiral.
Position
Career.
of prestige and stuff like that. Yeah, no, absolutely. It's a lot of we've been trained to think a certain way as far as certain things go. You know, you're looking at people who are like, oh, I'm gonna go to school, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that. But at the end of the day, you know, I feel like college is essentially to get a good job, to make good money, and live a good life. But I think people will look at it like, you know, oh no, it kind of goes back to what we were talking about before. A lot of people are going to school to impress other people, feel like, okay, this is a respectable career and stuff like that, and they're not actually focusing on their strengths or given themselves an adequate amount of time to look into what they're actually interested in or what they're actually good at.
So one thing I'm pretty
impressed by, and I don't know where this leads, but it's kind of interesting, the amount of younger people, like teenagers, who have taken the things that they're interested in technology, and have, you know, been able to monetize it, and kind of flip the whole traditional system on its head.
Right.
You know, there are lots of teens and young people who, not saying that education is bad. I mean, that's what one of my degrees is in, so I love education in school.
Right.
I mean, I'm a nerd, but a lot of them, where they were told that, you know, that they wouldn't become anything if they didn't make good grades and go to school, are going to, you know, have a lot of success, especially in a couple of dimensions of just their fame or financial freedom.
Right.
Now, like I said, I don't know where this goes. I don't know how that's going to affect them later on in life, especially like for, you know, a 12-year-old who is, you know, really, really famous right now, making making a pretty decent amount of money. I have suspicions that at a certain point when they're no longer interesting anymore, they don't evolve and adapt into something else that people would want to take part in, then life would be a little bit challenging if they don't, develop the next stage in their identity. It's hard to come off the Mount Olympus and be back down with the mortals if you've done that, for all of your life as a young person. You're going to have to now figure out what you're going to do for the next
80 years of your life or so.
Well, hopefully, whoever the adult is in their life is kind of prepping them for that, because it's kind of you can't. What goes up must come down.
Yeah.
You can't stay on top forever.
Yeah.
So, if anything, it's good that that whatever they're doing. I'm thinking of like gaming or something like that.
Sure, yeah.
It's setting them up financially. At least they can have that part taken care of. Hopefully,
Right.
And then you can navigate to do other things and whatnot. So and that's part of the good things about the pluses about social media is the type of chances it's giving to people.
Lots of opportunity.
Right, opportunity. Yeah.
lots of opportunity, and to go back to education, because of social media, like I think there's a need for university. I think there is. It serves some value, but I think that it could be a little bit more efficient, cost efficient for sure. When almost everything that you'd ever want to learn, you can do through social media because we're all connected now. Now somebody who has a process for sleeping better, and he lives in Australia, can share that with the world, whereas in the past you wouldn't know anything about.
University of YouTube,
Right. So in that sense, it's kind of helped. But on the flip side of that, that's great. On the flip side of that, social media has become sort of a surrogate for real, authentic human interaction, and the effects of that are, like I said, are coming out right now, because we're in a society that has more mental illness and mental instability than we've realized in history.
Very, very sad and true. I appreciate you stopping by, man.
Man, I appreciate you.
Yeah, absolutely. It was kind of funny. I was the whole time I'm trying to, like, while we're setting up, I'm trying to avoid talking to you.
Oh yeah, I kind of sensed that.
Yeah.
Since that you were getting in the zone, you're prepping.
Yeah. I was like, I don't want to just start the conversation right here.
With editing and stuff like that, I'm sure you put in, piece up what you want to. It's not my area.